Welcome back to WT Bricks for another episode of Building Mandalore in Lego. And this week I'm going to be concentrating on this building just here. I need to top it off with the art plate. Still a little bit of structural work I need to do on the inside. Put the border around the edge. Then once I've got all of the art plates on there, I'll be tiling off ready for the throne room. Now the throne room is going to be a modular building which just rests on top of the tiles. It's going to be a lot easier for me to build that over at my desk rather than trying to stand on the ladder and build it at 6 foot high up there. So that's going to be the plan, and that's the thing I'm going to be starting with today. As you can see from this image here, the window frames have a lot of details to them, so it's going to be quite interesting trying to get that as accurate as possible, keeping the frames as thin as possible as well. So I really look forward to the challenge there. I have sorted through numerous boxes of Lego and found out the pieces I think I'm going to be needing, so fingers crossed I will have enough to do that. So without further ado, let's get back to the desk and let's start experimenting with the windows. And the workstation is a complete mess. I poured out onto my desk all of the pieces that I'm going to be using for the throne room. When I was sorting my Lego out, I thought, yeah, this could potentially come in handy, and so on. And these are the parts I'm going to be doing the actual window frames with, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to come up with something quite decent with those. Initially, I came up with this, but it's just too basic. It's not giving me the look that I'm after. And then I came up with this one here, so it's narrow in this section here, which I think looks a lot better than that one just there. Here is the latest wall section that I've come up with, and really happy with how the lines are going on it. Would have been nice if I could have used 2 plates going in that direction as opposed to using the 1x bricks. However, it's going to be so much easier building it this way. I do need to shrink it quite a bit. This is the base plate that the throne room is going to be on, and as you can see, it takes up way too much room on there, so I need to try and shrink the width of it. So this part here I'm going to probably reduce by a couple of studs, and this one here by at least 1 stud as well. So just need to work out exactly how I'm going to go about doing so, what pieces I'm actually going to need. And I think I've got most of the parts on the slope side of this to do the throne room. However, the trans clear I've got nowhere near enough, and I'm going to need to order in quite a lot. I did get a lot of cheese wedges, however, where I'm using these slopes, I need the 45-degree slopes and inverted slopes in trans clear for those, and also a lot more of the trans clear bricks. Now these are off of the pad wall, and I could use some of these going up here. However, I'm also going to be building this way as well to get the slopes on there, so I just need to work out what the best options are. It might be that I can't use those at all. But yeah, this is proving to be quite a challenge, and it's going to be very part intensive to get this looking as good as possible. And as I said, this is just the side wall on here. Now, there are so many more details I need to get into this build, but I'm sure we'll get there. I may have a look at changing this technique here and possibly use a hinge piece like so, and then have the other part going down and then tile onto it. But I just want to make sure that it does look the best it can. And I've decided I'm going to be a little bit more organised with this build. It was really getting frustrated trying to find the piece that I needed. So just spent half hour sorting out the pieces, or some of them. And in here, for example, are all of the cut slopes. And I've got the normal slopes, plates, tiles, 1x bricks, snot bricks, and then normal bricks just there. Down the end, I've got me clear bricks and plates. I know I'm not going to have anywhere near enough of what I need to do this, but it could be a good start, and it will also enable me to work out what I'm going to need. So now what I'm going to do is start spacing the frame out on the back there and see how much I can get built with what I've got, but at least it's going to give me an idea of what I need to order in. And I've started building the window frame up on the base plate here, and this base plate is as large as I'd ideally like to go on the build. I could go another 8 studs longer, but then it'd be right up against the edge of the building, and I don't think that's going to look right from the outside. So there's got to be some compromises along the way, and I think this is the best way. These uprights here, I would ideally like to have made them the 1 plate and 1 tile, which is that wide there. It's not a great deal, it's probably about half a plate, but I do think every little bit does help on there. But I'm thinking that this is possibly going to be the easier way of building, but I am just going to have a little bit of an experiment with another option, see how it comes out, and then make a final decision from that. But yeah, it is unfortunate with the restriction of the throne room, as this area here is probably only about half the size of what it really should be if I was doing it to scale. But anyway, let's carry on experimenting just with these window frames here before I go any further. Just make sure I am going down the right design route with this. If I am, I'll just carry on building the entire wall up and then work out what I need to order for the glass and how I'm actually going to fit the glass into there, because at the moment I've got smooth edges on both sides. I could replace it with jumper plates and do a snot technique. However, again, just need to make sure that that's going to work as well. And the fun continues, and I do love prototyping and trying to find solutions to Lego problems. And this is another technique that I'm looking at for the frames. Some parts I like, however, I don't like the way this steps out here, and I'm feeling this looks too fat compared with the uprights on there. And when I hold them side by side, I think although it's not screen accurate, the width of these, I think it looks a lot tidier. So I just need to make a final decision on that. One other thing I was just looking at was this gap here. Whereas I could remove these tiles and put some trans clear bricks in this hole here, on this bit here it wouldn't necessarily work. However, I have got a Technic brick there, which I could move up into that slot. And then the stud on a 45-degree slope might fit in there and then fill that gap. So again, just going to experiment a little bit and hopefully come up with a solution. And boy, is this a challenge, getting all of the glass into here so it gets as close as possible to the slopes on here is proving really difficult. Down the bottom here, I had just balanced a couple of pieces in here, cheese wedge on a 1x1 transclear brick and had it upside down. However, I realised if I put a snot brick in here, I could put the cheese wedge in, and then that did the same trick. There is a slight gap in there, but when you're looking at it from a distance, it really doesn't show that much. And again, you can see the gaps just across here and up there. But yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely. On this part here, that one is just touching the slope there, which is pushing it over a little bit. So again, it's just these little things I just need to have a good think about and try and get it just looking a little bit tidier, and hopefully we'll come up with a solution for all of it. But it's giving me a good idea of what parts I'm going to need to order in for this, and I quite like having the studs shown through the glass, as on the glass in the source material there are loads of patterns, so although they're not accurate to the source material, at least it gives it something extra. And I do think it looks better than just having the plain bits of glass going up there. So whether or not I change those out and use sort of the 1x1 bricks, sorry, the 1x2 bricks as opposed to these large ones, not sure. I'll see how many I've got left over. But anyway, let's carry on building it up and see how much more we can get done with the parts we've got available. And I've managed to find enough of the trans clear pieces out to actually do the entire window. Now I am wondering whether it would look better with some bricks in there as opposed to tiles. I have used headlight bricks down the bottom here, which I'm not 100% convinced on, so I might just order some of those, some more of the 1x bricks in just to fill those gaps up. And I might also order just a few of the 1x2 bricks just to go in the middle there, again, just to give it a little bit more variety. But all in all, really pleased with how that window's come out. What I need to do now is get rid of these tan bricks. They're just there to help keep the wall up. I'm going to put some light bluish grey walls on here now as well. I need to check the source material just to see what patterns are on the windows on both ends as well. This is the end where the throne's going to be, and the other end's going to be the doorway. So anyway, let's check back to the source material and let's start building. And work has commenced on the back wall here, and this is where I'm going to put the actual throne itself. So I just need to dig out my Lego set, the Jewel of Mandalore. Not 100% sure where that is, but we'll have fun finding it. This wall here, it's not as wide as ideally I would have liked. It would have been nice to have had almost twice as much. So the amount of details I can put on this back wall here are restrictive. So there's nowhere near as many windows as I would have ideally liked to have had. But yeah, we're still trying to do the best we can with the space we've got available. But the more I see this window section here, the happier I am with it. I think it's come out really well. Anyway, let's see if we can find that Lego set out so we can get the throne in. And it took a while, but I finally found the box which had the Jewel of Mandalore Lego set in there. And looking at the pieces here, I'm not sure how much use this set is actually going to be. the orange flower elements on the wall, they are going to be really useful, and some of these trans orange pieces. Now, I could use the sticker elements that you've got on here. However, I've seen mocks where people have done a lot better technique using trans clear glass themselves and using loads of cheese wedges. Now, one thing is I don't have a great deal of those, so whether or not I'm able to do something similar myself, I'm not sure, but we'll certainly give it a go and see what we can do. But at least it's given me some idea, like with these modified bricks on the side, they might look pretty good going up there. So I'm just going to double check the source material once again against the pieces in this Lego set, and then go from there. The good thing is, obviously, I have now got another Darth Maul and Ahsoka minifigure for the build, so these two can actually go in this throne room, as of the other ones are doing the battle on the beams, and obviously she's going to be popping up in numerous places around the mock. Anyway, let's unpack this set anyway, and then start looking at source material and work out exactly what we're going to do on that back wall. And a little bit more detail added. I've put the modified bricks going down on both sides of the window here, and I was starting to prototype some designs here for the wall detail using snot technique. However, it is proving to be just a little bit out. It's not quite lining up. It's not quite working out how I was hoping it was going to do so. So I think I'm going to have to scrap that idea. I will carry on experimenting with it, but it's not looking good at the moment. And one other thing I'm considering doing is just having another play with the windows on the side there, and just see if there is a way that I can get a little bit more detail into it. And a little bit of progress has been made in the throne room here. I put the steps down that's going to lead to the actual throne itself, and the reason I wanted to do that was just to make sure that I was leaving enough space for the windows on each side. And also, as you can see here, I've actually changed the window design on here. Now, this isn't screen accurate, this part here is. However, I found like this was a lot more realistic looking than that side over there. The only thing I might do is change out these larger panels here for the smaller ones, just to give it the extra lines on there, just to give it a little bit more detail, I suppose. But I'm a lot happier with this side than the previous one. So now I'm going to replicate this side over that side. Then once I've done so, I'll start concentrating on the centre section. And a bit more progress has been made on the back wall. Decided to go with that technique on both sides, and I think it looks much better than how it did before. Started work on the centre section, and all I need to do now is the trans orange part that goes in the middle. I have made the throne. That just sits on there, and it will need to sit on a jumper plate as it's 5 studs wide, and everything else is all even studs across the build. And that's the orange glass all in place. And I decided to use the sticker elements that you got in the Jewel of Mandalore set. And on the top here is just a mixture of the 1x1 studs and 1x1 bricks and trans orange. Now that end's all completed. Turn my attention down to this end. But again, just need to check the source material, see what it looks like, and then we can start building. And the back wall has been built up. Just need to put a couple of tiles or grill pieces on those snot bricks just there. Just put those on for a little bit more detail. And inside, again, there's some snot bricks I just need to tile off and plate off. And that's just so I can get the markings that you see in the Clone Wars episode. Again, built the steps going up so that the door frame is 2 bricks or 2 studs deep as opposed to the one that the walls are. And I put them on a snot brick just so it sticks out by half a stud either side of the wall. But really happy with how that wall has come out. And I'm looking forward to tiling the floor all off just to get that finished look on the mock. And here we have the throne room all tiled off, and what a difference it makes losing that multicolour filler plate that was on the bottom there. And really happy with how this mock has come out. The throne itself, I wasn't sure whether this part of the chair should have been built into the glass. However, due to the fact that I've made it 5 studs wide, it's not possible for me to do so. I could always shrink it down to 4, but then it would just change a couple of the techniques I've used in it. So I'm not sure whether or not I want to do that, or just use some creative license and have it my own way. Now with the back door here, I've put the details above the door with the dark bluish grey tiles. And the only thing left to do now is the roof section. And what I'm going to be doing is tiling off the whole wall on there and have it so that it's a removable roof. And the reason for that is I don't want to be pushing down on this too much when putting the plates on, as I'm a little bit concerned that some of the wall pieces at the back here or on the side, they may cave in due to the fact that they're only 1 brick deep and there's a lot of snot technique. So there's very few connection points between the top and the bottom on those back walls and side walls on there. So need to do the sensible thing on that, and I think a removable roof is the best way forward. One thing I do like about this build as well is the fact that it's modular. So this is just going to rest on top of the build. So when Mandalore, the build series, is all finished, I can keep this on display if I wish to do so, which would be quite nice because I really do like the throne room. I think it's a really cool location. Now with the build series, I'm thinking there's possibly 1-2 weeks tops and it will all be finished. If I can find all of the parts that I need, then there is a very good chance that next week we may actually have the finale. We'll just have to wait and see how this week's goes. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this update. It's been great fun building this throne room. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Mandalore or building Gotham, if you could share the channel with them, it'll be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for walking on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.